Hey Sim Babes, it's Tasha of Tasha Monet Sims here with another video for you. If you're new here, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. Hope you're feeling good, feeling great, and ready for what I have for you today. It is December 12th, which marks day 12 of 25 Days of CASmas, a holiday special where I create Sim families and their backstories using only the in-game cast items. If you've watched any of my LPs, you know I'm all about CC, but I wanted these Sims to be more accessible to people, so I'm attempting to do this without it. Hopefully, you enjoy. Day 12 brings us the Bordeaux and Crosby household. Philip Bordeaux is from a wealthy family that owns wineries in the countryside of Windenburg. Being his parents' only child, when his parents were ready to retire, Philip was to take over in their place. From a young child, he was groomed for his upcoming position, and as he got older, he was introduced to young women of high society. It was expected of him that one of these ladies would become his wife, and up until a trip to the jungles of Selva Dorada, Philip had resigned himself to doing so. In Selva Dorada, Philip met a young archaeologist named Sheridan Crosby, who was working on her first book on ancient jungle cultures. She accidentally bumped into him when taking photos of ruins deep in the jungle, and on a whim, he asked her out for drinks. She politely declined, claiming to have too much work to do, and wished him a lovely vacation. It wasn't until a year later that they crossed paths again when the Windenburg Archaeological Society held a banquet at one of his parents' wineries. By this time, Philip was dating Theodora Vance, the heiress to Vance Industries, a company that owned multiple high-end restaurants across the globe. He wasn't particularly interested in Theodora, but she was handpicked by his parents and he didn't want to disappoint them or their vision for him. That changed though when he caught sight of Sheridan looking out of place and extremely uncomfortable. He took a chance and asked her if she'd like to get away from the banquet for a while. And to his surprise, she agreed. Sheridan Crosby had no intention on spending time with Philip. She recognized who he was right away when she ran into him in the jungle over a year ago. How could she not? He had been plastered over every magazine as the most eligible bachelor for months, and though she didn't read those magazines, she saw them every time she was in line at the grocery store. She had no idea he'd be present at the banquet, but she thought about him from time to time, wondering why he asked her, of all people, out for drinks. Sheridan knew they came from very different worlds, and if he really were interested in her, he'd quickly change his mind when he found out where she came from. Sheridan grew up in the Spice Market neighborhood of San Myshuno. Her parents owned a food stall and were always struggling to make ends meet. Sheridan never went hungry, but there were definitely things that she went without. She worked her way through school, earning a degree in history, then moved to Windenburg when she was offered a position with the Windenburg Archaeological Society as a field supervisor. You couldn't live in Windenburg, or anywhere really, without knowing the Bordeaux's. They were a family of old money, and Sheridan just couldn't see herself mixing comfortably with Philip or his crowd. Which is why she was surprised when an entire year after their brief chance meeting, he still wanted to be in her company. She was even more surprised when she accepted, but she would have likely gone anywhere to get away from the stuffy banquet with people who were more interested in flaunting how much simoleons they had in their accounts than the latest archaeological finds. This made it even more surprising still when the first thing Philip said to her once they were walking side by side on the grounds of the winery was that he read her book twice, and then he proceeded to tell her the things he agreed and disagreed with. It was possibly the most stimulating conversation she had with someone who did not share the same job title as her, and she was floored that anyone would read a book on cultures from a beginning unknown archaeologist. This moment, however, was cut short by Philip's mother, holding on to the arm of Theodora and hissing at Philip to show proper decorum at events he is meant to be the host of. Philip cast a long look at Sheridan before dutifully taking Theodora's beckoning hand, who was cutting her eyes at Sheridan while still maintaining a perfectly beautiful smile. Philip and Sheridan didn't speak to each other in person much after that. They sent letters back and forth to each other, but Sheridan couldn't help but follow the very public relationship he shared with Theodora Vance. The magazine she once abhorred became a part of her daily reading schedule, and she was crushed to find out that Philip was going to marry Theodora. It stung even more when an invitation to the wedding was sent to her. Had Sheridan just been his slumming it fling before he married a woman his parents would approve of? She wasn't sure, but she wasn't going to that wedding to be made a fool. As the day of the wedding dawned, Sheridan felt an ache in her heart that she had never thought she would ever experience, and that is when she knew. Philip was the man for her, and if she were going to go the rest of her life without him, she wanted to at least tell him before he became another woman's husband. And so she showed up, fully intending to get him alone before the ceremony started, but the wedding was already in full swing when she arrived. To make matters worse, it was the part of the ceremony for objections, and there she stood in the back of the winery, center aisle, staring. Philip stared back while Theodora angrily screeched for an attendant to escort Sheridan out. It did not matter, though, because Philip was already halfway down the aisle before an attendant even had the chance to act. He seemed surprised to see her, which meant he obviously didn't send the invitation. Underneath that surprise, though, was an unbridled love that lit up his eyes in a way that filled every fiber of her being with happiness. After the botched wedding, Vance Industries ended all business with Bordeaux wineries, and Philip's parents canceled his inheritance. Now, a year later, Philip and Sheridan live in Sheridan's small rental home, engaged to be married in just 6 months' time. Philip is in university, and Sheridan is supporting them on her small salary. While she isn't an extravagant person and would be happy with a small ceremony, she still hasn't found a wedding venue up to her taste. Will they be able to find the perfect wedding venue for them that they can afford? And that is the 12th sim family of 25 Days of CASmas, Philip Bordeaux and Sheridan Crosby. I hope you enjoyed finding out about them, and if you'd like to add them to your game and play out the rest of their story, you can download them from the gallery. As an added bonus, I added Philip's parents, Sheridan's parents, and the Vance family to the gallery. You can find them by my origin ID, Tasha Monet, or the hashtag 25 Days of CASmas 2019. Please keep in mind that I own all packs and I did not discriminate when it came to which packs I used, so if you do not have the packs I used, you may need to swap out some items. Also, if you're interested, I'd really like to see people design a wedding venue for Philip and Sheridan. What would it look like? Every person who enters their build with the hashtag 25 Days of CASmas BC by December 17th, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time will be entered in a drawing to win one of 5 opportunities to get a combination of expansion, game, and stuff packs of their choice valued at $40. With that, I thank you for joining me today and hope you're here for the next video. Sending positive vibes your way, I'm Tasha Monet. See you next time.